In this episode, we talk about the update of the halfway point at the IPL. We talk about the quality of pitches and the condition of ground in the current version of the IPL. And we also talk about the crowd support for the various franchises. The moment of the week is the birth of Andy Flower, the wicketkeeper batsman from Zimbabwe. Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of the Cricket Hotspot podcast. This is your host Sarthak along with my co-host Parth. This is episode number 21, and a very interesting fact related to number 21 is the record for the most consecutive defeats in test matches is at 21. And any guesses what the team might be?
I think I have a pretty secure guess in that. The lowest ranked test nation, Bangladesh.
Absolutely right. They took many years for recording their first draw, not even the first win. Took 21 tries before they finally managed to stave off a defeat. And there was always that eternal debate of whether they got their test status a little too early before earning the stripes. But that's a topic for another day.
Yes.
Let's jump into our episode for this week. The major topic of discussion this week would be the IPL. And we'll take off from where we left off last week. I'm a little too far back in time right now. But we'll begin with our title contenders from last week, which we discussed, was the Delhi Daredevils. And they definitely look like the team to beat, with their main weapon, Mr. Virendra Sehwag, firing on full cylinders, and with able support from Mr. Mahela Jayawardene and the KP.
Yes. They have sort of cemented a spot right now, I would say, even if they win, even if they lose a couple of games, but they still continue this form, especially with the new reinforcements coming in. They look like a strong team, and it's no surprise that the strongest team is the team that has the best bowling lineup in the IPL. By far, Morne Morkel is the purple cap holder. I think he has 17 wickets to date. Special bowling performance from him, and it's more than Sehwag. It's the Irfan Pathan surprising package and the Morne Morkel bowling performances that have saved Delhi a ton this year.
This looks pretty similar to if you go back to the first ever IPL back in 2008. Delhi looked during the initial phase of the tournament looked like the team to beat. They made it, finished the league stages with the maximum wins. But that one bad match in the playoffs cost them their entire series, and which was sort of the unfair format of the game, because I think if for such a long tournament, your place in the playoff shouldn't be decided by one bad game. But again, it was pretty similar. They ended up with, I think, 15 out of 15 wins out of 16 matches, something like that.
At that time, it was 14, I think, because it was 8 games.
8 games, right.
Yeah. So, but no, I mean, very good team. I think the most balanced team in the competition.
My question, right? Peaking too soon? Is there anything like that?
There is certainly a concept in cricket like that, but I would say with the new reinforcements coming in and with the bowlers like Aaron being fit now, you would see Delhi go strength to strength. One thing that has, you can say one thing that had peaked too quickly in their team was Shahbaz Nadeem. He has sort of gone down the radar now, but again, it's just a matter of a couple of games for any team to start a trough which they cannot get out of.
Yeah, as we discussed last week, I think that's one of their only weak areas, is missing a quality spinner in their squad. But having said that, I think Nadeem has done more than fair share of his job. If we go back to the last game between when Delhi hosted Mumbai Indians, taking out Ambati Rayudu and Kieron Pollard in the same over of consecutive deliveries, was actually the moment that I sealed the match for Delhi.
Yes.
So he's doing a fair job, but again, a quality spinner in his place would only strengthen the Delhi team, probably take them to that unbeatable mark.
Yeah.
Definitely the best top four in batting lineup in the tournament. You can argue Bangalore might have that, but I would still go with Delhi because of the consistency of the performance.
4 international captains in playing in the Daredevils. I mean, just tremendous. I mean,
absolutely.
Rarely get to see four of the top players of the world coming from 4 different corners of the world. Kevin Peterson, you can say, comes from 2 different corners of the world, but certainly they have their all their bases covered except their spin bowling, and I think it's very exciting for people who go to the stadium and watch the game, because it's true entertainment when Sehwag plays the way like he has been. All the money is worth it.
I think one area of concern for the double Ds, as Danny Morrison would call them, is
overhyped Danny Morrison. Let's be honest.
Double Ds is that their middle order has not been tested that much. Their top order has been doing all the work, carrying most of the workload for them. Unfortunately, till now, either one of the top 4 has been standing up and putting their hand up and being counted. They've made sure that the team reaches the target if they're chasing, or sets a good target if they're batting first. But the day I think 3 of the top 4 fail, or say all of the top 4 fail, it'll be a tough day for Delhi, because I don't think their middle order is tested that much.
Would you recommend their keeper batsman who was doing well to come higher up the order?
No, definitely not.
No, I mean people like Nagar are coming higher in front of him. I mean he looked good, but I mean to come at number 7 does not justify his ability, I would say.
We haven't. If you talk about ability, we haven't seen Nagar as such. The man can definitely hit the long ball, and the team management must have definitely seen something to send him higher up than Namanoja. So, having said that, the top 4 are set. So if any one of them goes on to score a big score, Delhi is more than guaranteed to win the game. But if that does not happen, it's, I think, definitely up to the team management who they see fit get walking in at that situation, kind of thing.
But a set team right now, and can only go from strength to strength.
Absolutely.
Going from the top of the table to the very bottom of the table, we saw Deccan Chargers win their first match. Your reactions, have they started to improve, or have they found some grip?
They were never really a bad team. They should have won at least 2 of their first 5 games. At least 2 of the first 5 games. And their last ball snatch, the thriller against Mumbai, when Rohit Sharma sealed it with a 6.
That was their game from the start.
Absolutely. Dale Steyn, amazing performance. Again, the game against Rajasthan Royal, when Brad Hodge scored a 40 of 20 balls to seal the game for Rajasthan, was again was Deccan's game to lose. So they should have had at least 2 or 3 victories before the one that came around, but finally their lineup looks a little more settled, with Cameron White coming to the party. Quick fire
78
bludgeoning, rather, 75-80, which he scored. More of the Cameron White we know, not the ones we've seen over the last 1 year or 2, who has actually really struggled for form. And so that makes their Deccan Chargers lineup a little more stable. Sangakkara is yet to show up. So if he does, I think Deccan Chargers have a really good chance of winning a lot of the remaining matches, but don't know if they'll qualify because of the table situation right now.
I highly doubt they will qualify. If they come anywhere above number 6, they would have done themselves a huge favor, because all the teams are now 8 points. So it seems very unlikely, but if they do, it should be a good contest for them.
That's the beauty of this year's competition, actually. If you see, like, 4 points separating the first and the 7th team. First and the 8th team, rather.
8th team,
That's amazing, actually. Talk about competition.
And it's nothing is settled in stone yet, and that's the beauty of it. Is it ironic that their best player or the best fast bowler wasn't playing in the match that they lost, they won?
It's a cruel joke, isn't it, for Dale Steyn, because that he's bowled amazingly well. I think that spell against Richard Levy from Mumbai was arguably the best spell of the IPL so far, and maybe of all the IPLs. But again, him not playing and ending up winning the game was sort of a cruel joke. But I'm pretty sure
he makes his way back.
The team
sure.
player that he is, I'm sure he doesn't mind the fact that Tekken won without him. He'd be more than willing to go out and contribute in the next game if picked. But it was I think not a bad move to give Rasi Theron a go and make sure that he's match fit. So even if need be down the line, if they have to play both Theron and Stain in the same game, maybe take out one of the batsmen, then that's definitely an option.
Let's move on to our next team. In the last podcast, we were talking about Pune Warriors who found themselves in the top 4. They are not in the top 4 anymore. Your thought about the slip?
I think they started off pretty positively. They had players contributing at the right time, but off late they've sort of lost the plot somewhere because if their opening combination fires, their middle order collapses. If their opening collapses, middle order sort of takes the responsibility but then slips up again. As you
or plays it too slow.
Exactly. I think the best example is that game against
Delhi Daredevils,
where they lost 2 quick wickets, and Uthappa and Manish Pandey steered the ship and took them to 150, but that was way too slow. I think that harmed the team more than it did any favors because of the flat wicket, and a score like 150 is way below par. So
Sehwag made hay on that day, and
absolutely. So it's again playing according to the situation is what is required. A 150 on a Kolkata wicket or some other turning wicket would be an above par score, but on a flat Pune wicket, that's definitely not going to help you. So they have sort of yet to find their ideal 4-man overseas player fit.
I was going to come to that point.
Yeah, because I think Ryder looks set at the top of the order.
Is he set though?
Well, he has made enough contributions for him to earn at least 1 or 2 more tries rather than just being judged on one failure or a couple of failures. So I would definitely keep him in there because he's a game changer.
If he
fires at the top of the order for 6-7 overs, he can turn the game in your favor.
They won that game against the Double Ds because of him, because of his 90 and the partnership with Ganguly. So it's good to see him play well, but again, I mean, he's a little not what you call a stable opening partner.
Exactly, he's mercurial. If he fires, he fires. If not, then God help you, kind of thing. But I think Steve Smith is sort of a permanent fixture due to the knocks that he's played. Very important knocks, very important moments. And I think only 1 or 2 matches out of the 7 or 8 that they've played is when he's sort of failed to get into double digits or failed to go past 20 or something. And that's a very impressive stat because not many teams have been able to get him out. And he's scored at a brisk rate, at least a 170 strike rate, which is really important during the end overs or when you're finishing the game. So a very important player in the middle order for sure. Maybe I think Pune would look to promote him a little up the order so that he can bat more overs, and that way he can get a little more contribution in, because I think him coming in with only 2 overs to go doesn't do justice to his form at the moment.
So that leaves the other 2 international spots.
I think as long as Dinda is injured, Thomas's space slot in the team is secure. I mean, second highest wicket taker in the world in T20 format. You cannot go wrong with him.
Even if he recovers, I would recommend keep him over Ashish Nehra.
That could be a way to go, but again, it depends on how the team management looks at it, because if they want to go with a left-right combination, just a difference in angle that creates a bit of an issue for the batsman rather than both being right-handers and having the same type of action and same style of bowling, basically. So Thomas, I think, is in the team till Dinda is out. And then I think the 4th spot, now that the Australian series is over and Mr. Michael Clarke is set to join the team, I think he might be given a go, but that's what team management, I think, would do. But if I was there, I would definitely pick Luke Wright to be in my starting 11, because, I mean, that man has performed all over the world in T20 cricket, and he's most suited to this format, and I think he should be batting in the top 3.
But is he most suited to the subcontinent conditions?
We have to give him a try to find out. He performed pretty well in the Bangladesh League too, so we cannot say he's not suited for this format. And I think we'll only find out once they give him a try. But the point being that they have to have him bat higher. He has to be in the top 3. And I think a way could be if Jesse Ryder fails in the next 1 or 2 matches, then Luke Wright could be given a go in his place at the top of the order.
Ganguly a waste of a spot as a batsman?
Definitely. I was always of the opinion of that he is actually blocking a spot for a good Indian player in the middle order, but he's played decently well in the last two games.
Yep.
He's sort of beginning to find his touch, the old Ganguly touch.
The princely touch.
Exactly. If that works out, good, well and good for Pune. But if it doesn't, I would hate to see both Ganguly and Michael Clark in the top four in the same T20 lineup. That only spells doom for whichever team they are.
And both are not T20 specialists by any
Exactly.
means of imagination.
So
I mean, don't actually get me wrong. It's good to see Ganguly play, and it's good to see he's sort of trying to find form. The classic Ganguly moments will be his wicket of Kevin Peterson. First ball, he's bowled in IPL since 2010, and comes and bowls Kevin Peterson. I mean, that was a good ball. Some may say a lucky dismissal because the ball kept low, but the way he celebrated was sort of a reminder of the old times.
that definitely ranks up with the T-shirt flying at Lords after the NatWest series of 2002. So that definitely ranks up there. But in any case, moving on to our the influx of the Australian players. Now that we talked about Michael Clark joining Pune, the remaining Australian players. David Warner, Michael Hussey, Shane Watson will be joining their respective franchises.
Ryan Harris?
Ryan Harris, absolutely. Pune needs a good, Punjab needs a good pace bowler in their attack right now. How will them joining the squad affect the balance of the squad? I think the one that'll be boosted the most is Rajasthan for sure. Shane Watson adding both a double billing, batting and bowling.
Who would you remove from that team, though?
It's a straight swap for Kevin Cooper. Kevin Cooper goes out, Shane Watson comes in,
and he does the same job.
Absolutely, he's a medium pace bowling all rounder who can bat much better
than Kevin Cooper. Yes,
so,
but Kevin Cooper has certainly performed really well in
he's definitely done more than what was asked from him.
Yeah,
but I think out of
$50,000 that day,
way more. I think it was definite value for money. But if I had to select the four best overseas player from that squad, it has to be Watson, Oveis, Brad Hodge, and Brad Hogg. And if they want some variety in the bowling department, they might consider bringing Sean Tate for a game or two. But that is depending on the surface.
Yeah, I think as the games are being played, these surfaces have nowhere to go but become slower and lower. So I don't think Tate will be able to get a lot of games, but it would be good to see him play at least a couple of games for the double R's.
Absolutely. I think the inclusion of these Australian players midway through the tournament would create the biggest conundrum for the Chennai Super Kings, because they get Michael Hussey back, but the replacement for Michael Hussey at the top of the order, Faf du Plessis,
has been this third highest scorer in IPL this year, just one short of Ajinkya Rahane.
I mean, he's done way more than what was asked of him. He has gone up there and he's looked by far the only assured CSK batsman to go and face any sort of bowling.
At this moment, you would say Faf du Plessis is more important to them than Suresh Raina, for example.
Provided the fact that he hasn't done anything this year, yes.
I mean, on just basis of numbers, you would say that Faf du Plessis has gone out every time and he's done more than what has been asked of him. And it's great to see somebody out other than an Indian make a name in the IPL and sort of trying to prove to his national side that at least he's good for the T20 World Cup. So you would say Hussey comes in, and does Hussey come in though? That's the first question.
I would say yes.
Yep.
Hussey would come in. Hussey and Faf open, with Badrinath slotting back into his middle order spot. And I think either Bravo or Morkel, one of them would go out, because I don't see a bowling spot being vacant for an Indian player to take. So either
Bollinger, would he play for sure? He's not playing right now.
It's either Bollinger or Kulas Ikra taking up one spot, because I do think they need that edge in the bowling department. I mean, they could keep Morkel and then have him bowl his quota of overs, and then Bravo too, taking over the bowling responsibility, with Yo Mahesh coming into the squad as the Indian pace bowler, as a third backup. And they always have a lot of spin options in the squad. They have Shradab Jakati, they have Ravindra Jadeja, they have Suresh Raina, they have R. Ashwin. So a lot of spin options on their squad. So I think that could
Suraj Randeep,
but again, that's a overseas slot.
Yeah.
So If they want to have all 4 batsmen or all-rounder, they could, leaving out Bollinger and Kulasekara both. So we'll have to wait and see how the team combination is decided by the management.
Certainly. Now another good player, a good international addition would be Warner. Would he be? Who would you drop for Warner?
I think it's
Kevin Peterson is going in a couple of weeks to play the series against West Indies in England. But until then, who would you drop?
I think it's a very easier decision because
Ross Taylor?
Yes, Jayawardene and Kevin Peterson choose themselves.
Morkel is the highest wicket taker. You would not be.
There's no way you can drop him.
Yeah.
So the only one that remains, unfortunately, is Ross Taylor, who has to make way for.
Fortunately or unfortunately?
Well, if it's compared to David Warner, then fortunately. But when you're looking at it from Ross Taylor's point of view, it's pretty unfortunate that you have to make way for someone else to be on the team. But definitely that top 4 would be the best batting lineup in the IPL, hands down. Sehwag and Warner opening with Jayawardene 1 down and KP at 2, or KP at 1 and Jayawardene at 2. I don't know how they plan it, but that has to be the best top 4 in the IPL for sure. I mean,
would you think when KP goes, Andre Russell be given a chance as an all-rounder batsman?
It depends.
Because they would need to strengthen up their middle to lower end. And I think he's not been played, but I think he's a very good player.
I don't know.
Or Doug Bracewell.
It depends on how they plan to use their overseas all-rounders and what best combination they can think of. Either to keep Ross Taylor in the squad and just go with a pure batsman, or to bring in an all-rounder, a bits and pieces player who can do both. He can bat well and he can give you some overs in the middle too. So it'll all depend on that. But I think another name that you're forgetting in there is Van der Merwe, because he's a pretty good handy player too.
And he's a spinner that they lack right now.
Exactly. So I mean, it'll be a toss-up between Ross Taylor, Van der Merwe, Bracewell, and Andre Russell for the 4th spot.
Who would you pick?
Out of all of them, depending on the surface, it would be either Van der Merwe or Ross Taylor. But if I have enough batting strength, then I might as well give a chance to Andre Russell.
In this segment, we'd like to talk about something very good that we have seen in the IPL. It's the conditions of cricket grounds in India. We saw the new Pune ground come up. Looks like a great stadium, and it looks like an international, proper recognized international venue would look like.
Absolutely. I mean, they've done really well setting up the new stadium. Pune definitely needed one, because last year they were playing all their matches at the D.Y. Patil Stadium in Mumbai, and they had no ground to call their own. So great work by the entire Pune Sahara Warriors team, Mr. Subrata Roy, for lending his name to the ground
and financing it.
Obviously, that's how you get your name up there. But yeah, definitely very well made ground. It looks pretty good.
It looks very good. I mean, all the grounds. If you take the Eden Gardens, if you take the Wankhede, even Punjab, they all look like the outfields look superb, like absolutely lush outfields. In the 90s, these were a thing that you just admired in the foreign grounds, say the MCG or the Lords. But having to see the kind of grass, having to see the kind of lush outfields, people able to dive on them so easily, it's very heartening to see.
Absolutely. I mean, the grounds committee has stepped up big time, be it for the entertainment value, be it whatever the case be. And I think the the grounds which are right now at the level of the other overseas ground that you mentioned before, like, as we used to see back in the 90s and the early 2000s, how the ground quality across the world would be awesome. And back home in India, the grounds would be probably patchy. And if you dive, you probably scrape half your skin off from all over the body. But now it's so much better. I mean, it's great to see people. I mean, that's one of the reasons why India has not been traditionally a breeding ground for good fielders, because there's no way you could be diving around on the local maidans and going home without few bruises and scrapes on your body. So,
and probably that's one of the reasons why the kids have started to improve their fielding now, the likes of Suresh Rainas, Kohlis and stuff like that.
Absolutely, like the juniors coming up the ranks, it's much better for them because the facilities provided to them. All these grounds are in much better condition, and so they can afford to dive around and hone their skills and not just go out there and look like a lost rabbit on the field.
How do you like the crowds in the IPL?
Sometimes they've been good, sometimes they've been dwindling, but on the whole, it's good to see some support in the local buzz being there. I mean, certain venues will never go out of flavor. Say Eden Gardens will always have good support for their home team, very passionate bunch of people there. So that's great to see. Even
Delhi has been pretty good.
Even Delhi has been.
Delhi has been buzzing like. I mean, that's probably the best crowd that I have seen. I come from the city, and I don't think I've seen such a passionate crowd supporting even like the Indian team the way that they have supported their team this year. Maybe it's because of the fact that they are doing very well.
Yeah, that's a lot. That has a lot to do with the performance of the team too.
But it's not the kind of passion, the kind of noise they make. It has been just brilliant.
Absolutely, and I mean all over the country actually. This 1.5 month long cricket bonanza has been pretty popular in the past, and
but I find it. Is it just this year? It has been. It has some extra spice to it. I just find it more than maybe it's because I am focusing on it more than I've done in the previous IPLs.
I would say it's as we discussed earlier, it's a little more competitive this year. I mean, when you had 10 teams playing last year, the talent was pretty diluted. It was distributed across 10 different teams, and a lot of makeshift players were in the squad which wouldn't even want a place on the club 11 for any city. So having said that, it was good to see the creme de la creme kind of thing making their way into the top 9 teams, and the rest of them being cleared up, so that you have only the best talent competing against each other, not any of those fillers or fringe players. Who
would you say has the weakest crowd?
It has to be the team that's doing the worst. So I would say Deccan Chargers. I mean, their crowd has definitely been good.
I would say Punjab would take the cake on that because they don't have icons in their team, and the team that comes, say for example, Pune Warrior comes, they come and support they also support Ganguly, or say Mumbai Indians come, they support Sachin as well. So they don't have classic icons for which they can actually rally upon. Sean Marsh is probably their best player, but even then he's not an icon because he has not established himself on the international stage.
Yes, I understand your point, but the fact is, I mean, they're pretty passionate people in Punjab too. So I mean, it depends on whether you want to support your team or not. Yes, it makes a difference when you have certain idols in the team which you can sort of sell your team on based on like the face of the franchise kind of thing, like Yuvraj was at the inception of the tournament.
Yes.
Who's not part of the same team anymore, has moved on to Pune. But I think it just depends on whether your team is doing well or not. I mean, if you're doing well with whatever bunch of players you have, you will find support. Let's go back to Rajasthan Royals in the first year. They didn't have any big names in their squad.
They made Shane Warne their poster child. And
exactly, but Shane Warne is not that big in Jaipur, let's say. He might be big in the bigger centers in the world, in the bigger centers of the country.
He's big in the world in general. I mean, he has that star power
even if I bring Brian Lara and make him the captain of a franchise, he won't garner that much support on his own. If the team is doing well, yes, the crowds will come.
I Shane Warne has that kind of a personality which attracts people. He likes to keep himself up there in terms of being actually marketable. Not that many players are I can't remember any player who's actually as good. Even the likes of Sachin is good because people have made him good. But Shane Warne is the kind of guy who actually puts himself out there as the guy that people want to market around.
No, that's true. I mean, his charisma is undeniable. But the fact is, no matter how charismatic a leader you are or how charismatic a person you are, if you're not doing well on the field, no one is going to come and bother to see you play. They'll come and see you at the hotel and get your autograph, and that's about it. But no one's going to waste their money and 3 hours of their life to come and see you play on the field if you're not doing well. So I think that's sort of the point that I was trying to make there. All right, so moving on to our moment of the week for this week, we have the birthday of Mr. Andy Flower, the great wicketkeeper batsman from Zimbabwe who still holds the record for the highest test average for a wicketkeeper in world cricket.
Yes, very underrated cricketer. If a team can actually rally around just one character, and if the rest of the team is not that strong as it was in his case, it is certainly an achievement to carry a team just on his backs and to do well in a place like India where he did tremendously well. I think he scored a couple of 200s. So a great player, and his birthday was actually on the April 28th, and he celebrated his 46th birthday.
And he's done pretty well for himself. I mean, after getting done with his cricketing career, which sort of was abruptly cut off because of the political situation in Zimbabwe, and when going on to England and playing a little bit there, and then going on to coach the side. So a pretty good achievement for a 44-year-old. He's made his way around the coaching circles.
Yes, and he's become one of the most wanted coaches in the world right now.
Very shrewd mind.
Very shrewd mind, and even when he was playing, he looked. I mean, he had that mind of knowing where the places where the gaps are, where to hit, and where to make sure to collect runs. Always like, what do you call it? Z player. So that's something good, a good player, and I think has a future in international coaching for sure.
Definitely, and I mean, he would be the kind of player who would definitely have done well, let's say, in a T20 format. Because,
yes,
as you mentioned, he's a very busy player, and so players like that are very important at various stages of the match during the game. It's not all about hitting, but it's about making sure you score at a brisk rate without taking too many risks, and which he was pretty good at. So, a great player, definitely underrated wicketkeeper batsman, and the numbers speak for themselves.
If he played for any other international team, he would have been one of the most marketable players in the world. It's sad to see him play for Zimbabwe and not be as recognized. He reminds me of a current international player, Owen Morgan. Do you find that sort of cheeky resemblance and his shot making as Andy Flowers?
I haven't actually observed that similarity as such, but now that you talk about it, it does kind of make sense because of the way that they play. It's obviously Andy Flowers is much more orthodox than Owen Morgan, but in a way I do see the similarities that where you're coming from.
Let's close shop now. It is time to say goodbye. We'll see you next time. We will be posting a special gift for you all. It is an interview segment we did with Subhash, the Cricket Couch. We will post his details as well. You can follow his blog. In the meantime, we will try and get more exciting people for you for the future episodes. This is me, Parth, signing off.
And this is me, Sarthak, signing off. Thank you so much, guys, for logging in again, and hope to catch you soon with the next episode. And until then, take care and have a good one.
Yep, bye.